Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. Today, I would like to present you my first results obtained at the Department of Immunology at Nicolaus Copernicus University in Toruń. And this study are the first step of my PhD thesis, so I'm really glad that I can share with you these results. So what it will be about, first few words about Iscador-QU. What is it? Why is it interesting for us? When is it applied? Then a few words about the experiment design, about the materials and methods that we used for obtain our results. And finally, this is what is the most important, so the results and conclusions that we have after doing this experiment. So the aim of the study was to find the answer for the question, is hyperthermia a safe and effective therapy for patients treated with Iscador? So mistletoe, kissing under mistletoe is very common and very well-known holiday tradition. So what is the connection between Iscador and the mistletoe? So Iscador is exactly fermented aqueous extract from European, this is important, that from European mistletoe growth from the oak trees. So on the right side you can see the main chemical compounds that can be found in the extracts of mistletoe. And the most interesting seems to be lectins, which has the most bioactivity properties that you can see on the left. So for us as immunologists, the most interesting are anti-cancer and cytotoxic properties, and also fact that Iscador-QU enhancement of cytokines secretion. What is interesting that many kinds of metabolites have been isolated from the European mistletoe, and some of them are produced not by the plant, but obtained from the host tree. So Iscador-QU, as I said, is exactly from the oak trees. Few words about the experiment design. This was the in vitro studies. We examined two cell lines. First was the murine macrophages, what are important from the immunological point of view. And the second cell line was the breast cancer cell line, because the breast is the most popular cancer among the women population and the second in the world. So it seems to be interesting to check this combination, Iscador and hyperthermia, on these two cell lines. So the methods that we used, first was to define the reactive oxygen species generation in macrophages, and for this we used dichloro-dehydrofluorescein diacetate, which in the living cells is converted by the reactive oxygen species to fluorescent dye dichlorofluorescein. So it led us to measure the concentration of reactive oxygen species in comparison to some control. So then we conduct the MTT assay, which directly gives us information about the cell viability. MTT compound is converted by mitochondrial reductase to formazan, and after solubilization in dimethyl sulfoxide, we can measure the absorbance and we can compare it to the control. So first step was to define the reactive oxygen species generation in macrophages, and we cultured these cells in 37 degrees without Iscador as a control, and also without Iscador but in 39 degrees for check if hyperthermia generate the ROS. So as we can see, yes, it stimulates the cells to generate the reactive oxygen species, and also Iscador give us best results. So why did we decide to check the reactive oxygen species? Because they are important for the respiratory burst. So this is the main function of the macrophages to fight against the pathogens. So we treat it as a information about the activity of the macrophages. So for the further research, we decided to check the highest dose of the Iscador. So results that we obtained from the MTT assay were different for the MCF7 for the breast cancer cell line and different for the macrophages, but in both cases they were beneficial. So we can see that they have completely different effects into these two cell lines. In the MCF7 and 39 degrees, we proved that hyperthermia has cytotoxic effects, so it kills the cells, and I know that for you is very well known. So, but what is interesting that in this ambient temperature, in 39 degrees, the Iscador-QU suppress this effect. So we check the same, but in the highest temperature, and we can see that in the 41 degrees, Iscador-QU multiply the effect of cytotoxicity of hyperthermia. So we check the same on the macrophages, and we can see similar effects. So this is the proliferation, so it's beneficial for us if we have more macrophages than less. So, but again, in 39 degrees, Iscador-QU suppress this beneficial effect. And again, when we elevate the temperature, the effect is much better. So as a summary, what I exactly say that Iscador-QU and elevated ambient temperature evoke cross generation, and also that the elevation of the ambient temperature triggers rose cells proliferation and inhibits MCF7 proliferation. And the combination of Iscador and elevated ambient temperature induces rose cell proliferation and cytotoxic effect in MCF7. So as a conclusion, the combination of Iscador and hyperthermia triggers different effect, because on one side we have the cytotoxicity effect, on the second side we have the stimulation to proliferation, but both of these effects are beneficial. So the Iscador in 39 degrees inhibits positive effect of hyperthermia. So our results suggest that the patients treated with Iscador may be cured additionally with extreme whole body hyperthermia. Of course, these results were obtained in vitro, so they need to be proved in vivo. And hyperthermia seems to be a safe treatment method for patients cured with Iscador-QU. At the end, I would like to give you some thing to take to think about it, and also the definition of our future plans, whether a combination of hyperthermia and Iscador therapy is a promising approach, and how to obtain better effects of hyperthermia treatment in patients cured with mistletoe extract, because as we could see on the first results, this seems to be important and worth to check. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Are there questions?
We didn't check, but this is very important to check the relation between these two macrophages types. But we will check it, of course. We are open for the suggestions. So as I said, this is the preliminary study. So I hope that this and definitely much more will provide me to PhD in the future.
Thank you. There's another question. Wait.
Thank you. So as I saw on the macrophage cell line, the hyperthermia had a kind of protective effect regarding the cell viability. So did you check with another method? I mean, just counting the cell numbers or checking the quality of life of the cells with flow cytometry or with other markers? Because you know, the MTT assay had some limitations because it's based on the mitochondrial activity, and the electrohyperthermia can raise that.
Yeah, that's the true that we should to check in the different models also the different methods, And this is also will be due in the future. So these results are really just the first that we obtained, but because of this conference, we wanted to share with you, to show the ideas that we want to spread. So for sure, we will check using the different methods the count of the cells, because this is the weak point of the MTT assay, that it check only the mitochondrial activity.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Timo?
Maybe this is the wish for cure the patients with Iscador, but as we can see, the results are promising. So I know also that there are different low regulation in US and Europe. So I know that in Europe it's maybe it's not forbidden, maybe it's not very recommended, but I know that patients used Iscador in the therapy. So it's why the research are needed. So.
There's no really good control trial with high control over moderate.
Yeah, that's the reason why we need to check it and to research.
Thank you for this very important comment. Thank you. So we move on.